Hi, it's John here, and people are often asking me about how they can make videos that look like they're a presentation but haven't been made with PowerPoint or Keynote or something like that. And quite honestly, that's how I started out. When I first started, I didn't have any screen capture software. All I had was a video editor. And so what I would do is I would bring all of my images in there, then I would bring the text in, I would animate how the text appeared, animate how it disappeared. And if you're trying to do something complex, believe me, it's a lot more work than it would be if you tried to use some dedicated software like PowerPoint. However, sometimes what you're trying to achieve is quite simple, and it lends itself to really being done all inside of a video editor. So this video today is really just to show you one of the techniques that I might employ if I'm going to do this. So what we've got inside of Adobe Premiere is I've got three tracks here. I've got a piece of music on the audio track, which is about 1 minute 22 long. I've then got a static background track, which is actually the same background that I use on all of my slides. And if I just try and make this a little bit bigger, see how we do. Okay, so this is my background slide. And then what I've done, if you look over here in my project bin, I've created a whole load of titles. And all these are individual pieces of text that I want to appear on the screen. And I've already dropped these onto the timeline. So you'll see it's just straightforward pieces of text dropped onto the timeline. The other thing that I've done is I've gone through the music, and because I want all of my text to be animated in sync with the music, this is another thing that's very difficult to do in PowerPoint. You will notice that along my timeline I've also set these markers, and these markers represent beats that I'm interested in. So I'm going to add some zooms, and it's the zooms that really make things look like they're flying off the page. But let me just show you where we are to start with. I'll play a little short section of this. Okay, so as you can see, what we've got is the words appearing is now in sync with the music already. I've already done that just to make this video a little bit shorter. What I've also done, though, you would have noticed in the middle we've got this effect happening on the text. I will come back and show you that later because that's quite a cool little tool that you can work with. But what we want to do is we want to actually make each piece of text zoom out before the other one appears. So I've already got my marker, which is here. Okay. I've set them all the way through. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit more onto this one, just so you can see. So that's where it starts. That's where I've got my little effect happening on the text. And this is where I want it to fade out. And I want it to fade out before the next one comes in. And I also want it to zoom out. So to do this, I'll click the actual track that I'm working with. And because my starting point is going to be where we are, I'm going to have everything as I want it. I'm going to click on Scale. And I'm also going to click on Opacity. Okay. Now opacity, you can see, is already a keyframe. Okay, we're already managing this. So all I need to do is to add another keyframe on here. So what we've got now is a specific point in time where the opacity and the scale are set as we're seeing them on the screen. And what I want to do is I want to make it zoom out quite quickly in about half a second. In this instance, my project is 30 frames per second. So if I zoom in a little bit here, in order to get then half a second's worth of time, what I need to do is to step forward 15 frames. And I'm actually going to do that down here on my timeline by just right clicking with my arrow with my arrow keys on the keyboard, I'm going to click the right one 15 times. Okay, you can see it's coming to just before the end of this block, so before the affiliate marketing starts. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to zoom in and then take the opacity down. So the zoom in, I'm going to make it big, something like that. Okay, 600%, yeah, why not? But I'm going to set the opacity down to 0 at that point. So what will happen, as you can see, as it zooms in, it fades out as well. Okay. So we do exactly the same thing on the next one. Okay, I'm going to zoom it in a little bit tighter so we can see it better. Okay, make sure you actually click that video. Okay, you see if I click somewhere else, you select a different block. So I'm selecting this block. We want scale and we want opacity. Going forward 15 frames. Same thing, 600% and opacity 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pause the video and I'll go through and do that for all of the other individual clips. Okay, so that's done now for all of those clips. Let's just have a quick look at what it's looking like right now. Okay, so as you can see, that's a reasonably convincing zoom that we've got going on there. As we get towards the end though, I wanted to do something a little bit different with the very last section, where it's just coming up with the name of the website. So on this one, there is no flicker. So if we just watch this. Okay, so what I want to do with this is I want to start zooming it in slowly from the beginning up until we hit this marker. At that point it will accelerate out just as we have with all of the other sites. So to do this, we will go to this particular marker here. We'll zoom in a bit and we'll select this block. So in this case I'm going to be setting the scale at 100%. Then we'll move along until we get to this marker here. At this point I want another scale. Now I also want an opacity keyframe because we're going to fade after this. However, what we want now is to be zoomed in a little bit more. Not a huge amount. Possibly there. Okay, I think actually I'm going to move this one down a little bit. Just going to zoom a bit better. Okay, so I moved it down. So we're going to zoom it into this point, which isn't huge. See, it's a steady growth till it gets there. And then we're going to move forward our 15 frames. Which takes us to here. At that point we're going out to 600 like everything else did, and the opacity is going to go down to 0. Now the challenge that we have is that when we hit this point it will be quite an abrupt change in speed. So what we need to do here is we need to set this to easy in and easy out. Okay, so we should find now that as we hit this, the acceleration is a bit more gradual. So let's just watch this back. Okay, so you can see by making that an easy ease, there was no abrupt change in speed. It was a sort of an accelerated speed increase, and that's exactly what I was looking for at that point. So the other thing that I said I would show you whilst we're in here was the little text effects. So if we come to this one, I've added something called a wave warp, which you can find in the video effects under, I think it was distort, wave warp there. And if you can't find it, just type in the text box. If you type in here wave, it will take you straight to it. So I've applied this to each of the clips, and again I've set some keyframes. So if I just go a little bit forward here to try and get all the keyframes together. So on this keyframe I've made a setting. I've gone for a triangle wave, the wave height at 25 and a wave width of 17 at a direction of 180 degrees. Now you can play around with all different types of waves, and all they do is they make the text look a bit different. I wanted something quite jagged. That didn't quite work for me. I like the triangle. I tried the sawtooth, but that just looked a bit odd. Circle looked a little bit too freaky. Semicircle was just weird. Whatever an uncircle is, I don't know, it still didn't work for me. And noise, whilst interesting, wasn't exactly what I was trying to achieve here. But let's just have a look what the noise looks like so you can make your own mind up. See, it is quite nice. But as I say, it wasn't really what I was looking for. So I went, we also got smooth noise, which is the same thing but with less. See, it's more just a little like a fuzz. Yeah. So anyway, for what I was trying to do, the triangle works perfectly for me. It's a real bold statement here. And then what I did is, once I'd set the value that I wanted, I added keyframes for both the height and width. You could probably get away with just the height for the triangle, but I didn't want to mess about too much, so I thought let's just stick with both. And I went back one frame and created another keyframe. So this is literally in the space of one frame, so 1/30th of a second, it's ramping up from a wave height of 0 and a width of 1 up to a wave height of 25 and a wave width of 17, which is why it looks like it's just been switched on. And then again, if we go to the end, if I click forward one frame, you'll notice exactly the opposite. And in this case, I wanted it on for about 1/3 of a second, so 10 frames. So I did it once, counted forward 10 frames, and put another keyframe in there, went forward one more frame and turned it off. It's then simply a case of, you can right click and you can copy this effect and then go through all the other clips and paste it. All you might have to do is just select all of these and just drag them slightly right or left just to make them line up with the marker that we've got here. And you notice that my marker lines up with where it's turned on. So that's how I did it. That's how we got these effects. I will put a link underneath this video to the finished product. I'll upload that to YouTube so you can have a look at it. I'm John Landells from Internet Marketing with John at www.johnlandells.com, and I'll see you in the next video.